Hey, what's up, guys? WiseGuyVito here, and today I have basically an opinion video on the newest update, which is Omens of Tyranny. This will be the good, bad, and the ugly, because I do think that there are some good things about this update. I do think there are some bad things about this update. And I do think there are some ugliness that I think people are kind of overlooking, and I think that people need to tamper down, kind of like, we're back, baby, like we're back to playing Helldivers, and everything is fine and everything is well. And I think that people just need to kind of be cautiously optimistic, and I'll kind of explain that in this video. So like, share, and subscribe. Comment down below what you think about my opinion on this, to see if, and I like to see different perspectives on this as well, to kind of see where people kind of like agree or disagree on this type of topic. And let's get straight into the video. So real quick, the good about this update: it's a very good update. New factions, very fun. Kind of gives off that War of the Worlds type of feeling in the game, with a hint of zombies from the Voteless. The Voteless are terrifying and disturbing, and is probably like my favorite enemy in the entire game right now, because of how well designed that they are and how scary they look. And it offers an element of horror to Helldivers, and I think that that needs to be kept on going. I think that there needs to be more horror elements to Helldivers, more scarier moments, I think, personally. The other enemies are also amazingly done as well. Like again, it kind of gives off that War of the Worlds type of elements, especially with the walkers. The walkers are literally an identical model, almost an identical model, to the kind of War of Worlds walker aliens. The recon vehicle is also very fun to play with, and is a welcome addition to the game. It's very fun to kind of like scoot around the map and just machine gun everything. It's very, very fun. And the map as well, oh my gosh, like the map is probably the best thing about this update. Like, the faction is very good, like, don't get me wrong, but just the environment to play in is a refreshing addition to the already kind of like like the repetitious feel of the maps that we have been playing thus far. The urban fights are absolutely cinematic, and they're fun to play, and it gives a very interesting environment to play in. You can kind of like, you can kind of almost make certain builds with the urban environment, more linear type type weapons and stratagems and such. It's very, very, very fun to kind of like play around and have fun with. One of the things I found was the most cinematic out of everything, or like the cinematic moments, was that turning a corner and you're seeing a horde of these zombie Voteless people, right? And it's terrifying. And there needs to be more of kind of like those cinematic moments. Overall, the initial feel of this update screams polish, which is very welcoming. It's very refreshing. Seeing how Escalation of Freedom was not very polished at all. It was kind of lazily done, in my opinion. Objectively speaking, it was lazily done. And it's very fun experience. And hopefully Arrowhead will keep up with consistent quality updates with this new foundation that they have built. Keyword: new foundation. This is a way better update than Escalation of Freedom, and hopefully they come out with good, consistent quality updates. The bad, in my opinion, there was a Warbond release literally within hours after the update came out. The Omens of Tyranny update came out. And to be honest, the armor and the melee weapon is very good. It's amazing, especially the melee weapons. They actually listened to the community and added melee weapons to the game, and it feels very fun to use. Poking something with the stick or beating something with the baton. It feels very, very fun, and it does open up some more weird, meanie type of builds, and I think that that's kind of good. The armor is also very, very good as well. Being able to reload faster on primaries and also get more ammo on primaries, it is fun, and it definitely adds more build diversity to the game. The armor passive as well also works on support weapons without a backpack, meaning that you could bring a machine gun support weapon and not have to really worry about bringing a supply pack, because you have an extra, like an extra magazine with it, and that kind of alleviates some of the pressure of constantly having to have ammo. You don't really need that ammo anymore. You can just run this armor set, which is very fine, very fun to do. However, the confusing part about the Warbond, this is where the bad is that they're tying stratagems to this Warbond. In my opinion, this was very clear to the developers whenever Chemical Agents Warbond came out, that this was something that the community did not want to see in future Warbonds, right? Community Agents was the first war bond to actually push out a war bond where it came out with 2 stratagems, and those 2 stratagems was the dog breath guard dog, and also the actual like flamethrower type gas blower, right? And like I said, like it was very clear that stratagems should not be tied to war bonds, but stratagems should be tied to major orders as an incentive to keep playing the game and making major orders more interesting. Because right now, given the precedent that's been set for the past maybe 4 to 5 months, really, is that major orders are just something to do just to get medals. And I think that's fine, but there needs to be something else for the players that have been here since day one. There needs to be some sort of longevity to the game. And I think major orders can be that, but they just need to push out more content for the major order. It can be anything. It can be a cape. It can be a helmet. It can be anything cosmetic, right? It could be a weapon. It could be just a single primary that you get, or it could be stratagems. Stratagems so far at the very beginning of the game, for the past, like leading up to Escalation of Freedom, stratagems were major order based, and it definitely kept the game alive and fun. And something to kind of push for as a community. We can go and try to get these, try to get these cool stratagems. Now they're tying it, and it seems like now they're trying to set a new precedent, which hopefully they will change their mind on it, which is putting stratagems behind a paywall. And I don't think that's a good idea because that is an unincentivizing route. And I don't think that you should be placing stratagems behind a paywall. These should clearly be for major orders. In my opinion, I thought it'd be, a good idea to place this war bond as a free addition to the update. To be perfectly honest with you, with the Omens of Tyranny, you get a free war bond, right? To kind of give new and returning players some content to kind of grind out, and to kind of give them that taste of like the Warbond experience, or retaste of the Warbond experience. Maybe even have like a basic Warbond option, right? Where you get like maybe like an armor set and the stratagems, but if you wanted like the rest of the Warbond, you would have to pay premium for it, right? Which would be like the rest of the cosmetics and the weaponry. Overall, I believe that the Warbond is kind of a step backwards, really, from the already amazing update that came out with Omens of Tyranny. Right, it's kind of like an eyesore in my opinion, even though I do think it's one of the better war bonds because of like the melee abilities or like the melee weapons and the armor set. I think that putting stratagems on there is kind of an eyesore, and I think that they need to think through coming out with more war bonds in the future, and tying those and tying those stratagems to war bonds and behind a paywall instead of putting them in major orders, because that's right now that seems to be the only incentive why people are coming back and playing, is because of the war bonds or because of the stratagems for major orders. So hopefully they can fix that. Now the ugly is this. Now Arrowhead, they've done an amazing job on this update. First and foremost, objectively speaking, this did revitalize the game. I mean, like the player counts are upwards of like to the 130 to 160 at times, right? At peak, right? This is a very, very good update. However, there's still a very large elephant in the room, and that is the DSS. The DSS has been disabled. I know no one noticed it. No one noticed it because why was it disabled? Because it was abysmally ass content. Plain and simple. It was ass. You want to grind 2 to 3 months for a UI that is a sinkhole that works against you and is a net negative to liberation and defense campaigns, and a voting system that is laughably bad and counterproductive? Do you want to have like the trader status for a good solid 40 minutes, the entire mission of you playing it without being a trader? Do you want the game to play for you without your input from your end? Do you want to waste 3 months of your gaming time to a UI that is ultimately disabled? You cannot use it right now, and we don't know when it's going to be fixed. And the devs have ultimately said that they're going to fix the 380 cannons, but that's not the root problem of the DSS. If you said yes to any of these, you are a glazer. End of story. If you are the people out there who said that the DSS was working as intended and gaslighting everybody that the DSS was working as intended, you are a glazer. You are a guzzling glazer. That's what you are. End of story. This has been the worst development time from Escalation of Freedom up until Omens of Tyranny. End of story. It has been. And hopefully, Arrowhead recognizes this and will learn from it. And then from the new foundation, because Escalation of Freedom, what it did is that it destroyed any type of good faith foundation that they had before. And then it just got progressively worse. They tried to fix it with the 60-day update. They kind of fixed it, kind of like that good faith foundation, but it was broken. Hopefully, Arrowhead will recognize this as like, okay, we need to do better, and come out with regular, consistent, and quality updates. There should be no reason for a game that almost had, at the very beginning of its inception, at release, okay, 500,000 players, to then be dipping down in the sub 20k players in a live service game. This is the standard that Arrowhead has set. This is their standard. This is not my standard. This is not the other YouTuber standard. This is not other people who have been complaining about this type of development, whatever type of development assery they've been doing so far. This is their standard. They are doing a live service model game. That's what I paid for, and that's what 500,000 people paid for as well. End of story. If they cannot do it, then they need to say something. They need to say, hey guys, we're going to come out with expansions, rather than kind of like this live service model. If they were to say that, then they set themselves, then they say, listen, we cannot do it. We're going to do this because this is a better model for us. But they haven't said that. Okay, I want this game to thrive and to win, because this game is fun to play. The gameplay is fun, but there needs to be more consistent, regular, and quality updates. If there's none of that, then the game will fail. The game will then go back down to 20k players, and then people will bitch and complain about content. You have to have content. You can't just have updates fixing things. You have to have content. Folks like me were literally criticizing, again, for 2 months after the 60-day plan released, that there were 0 content drops. There had been one major order incentive ever since the 60-day plan, and that incentive was gas mines. Nothing says, I want to play Helldivers 2 like fucking mines. Okay? That was a bad choice on their part. They should have been taking the stuff from that war bond, like the flame turret, the shield, the anti-tank, kind of like the controllable anti-tank cannon. They should have been doing it and peppering those within the major orders to keep people playing. That's what they need to do. They need to get back on track to when the game first came out. Because whenever the game first came out, they were doing that, and they were doing that pretty consistently. Like I said before, this is me just saying this, right? Praise Arrowhead whenever they do something great, right? Which is the update. The Omens of Tyranny is fantastic, but be cautiously optimistic going forward. If they do something bad, don't say, well, they did do well with Omens of Tyranny, so I'll give them a pass on that. Don't do that. They haven't earned it. They haven't earned it. Remember, guys, there have been, remember when they did the balance changes and made everything total dog shit ass? That was because the devs knew better than you. That was their line of thinking. And then they fixed it 60 days later. And to be honest with you, they probably still think that they know better than you. And until we see, again, regular, consistent, and quality updates, then that's when you can start glazing them again. In my opinion, you shouldn't be glazing at all. But that's a good reason why you should be glazing them and saying, you know what? They're probably like one of the better dev teams out there currently. End of story. That's how it should be. So, this is my opinion. You guys let me know what you think down in the comment section down below. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.